Dude, can we talk about my fucking murder crow situation? That was the craziest thing that's ever happened.
Get a murderer crows.
I'm sitting on my couch and I just like start hearing cawing, and it's like a lot of cawing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that's weird. And I walk around my house, like I think maybe it's like the TV at first, and it's definitely not the TV in the other room. I walk outside and I look up, and my trees are just absolutely covered in crows. There's like 30 or 40 of them out there, and they're just all cawing at each other. It's ridiculously loud. There's a guy across the street walking his dog, and he looks at me and he gives me the like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just crows. And then they all left.
And they're really crows. They're not like grackles.
It sounded like a crow call. You know that like a kid that's gotten really famous on Instagram from like doing a ridiculously good crow impression?
Uh-huh.
It sounded like those.
Okay.
It sounded like American crows. So, and they looked, I mean, they were big.
Yeah,
they were big
crows.
black birds. They looked like crows.
I mean, we got tons of crows here. I just never see 30 or 40 of them. I see, 5 or 10 maybe on a...
It was a big murder.
Yeah.
I mean, I could die tonight is what I was saying.
You could. Could die any night.
I know. Doesn't matter. I contain multitudes.
That's true.
Hello and welcome to Flanagan's Wake, a Doof Media podcast discussing the life of Mike. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, the universe in his head is just absolutely filled with cannibalism. It's Matt Freeman.
It's so beautiful here.
I'm just imagining like the same thing where everyone's kind of like depressed because the world's falling apart and collapsing, but they're also like just chowing down on each other.
Yeah.
That's your world, Matt.
It's wonderful. Like I said,
wish I could be part of your world.
I contain multitudes.
This week on the show, at long last, Matt, a mere 1 year and 3 months later, you have finally seen Mike Flanagan's The Life of Chuck. You finally did it. You got the permission and you ran out and you watched it. And we're here now to talk about it.
So much build up. I'm amazed that I was able to keep from being spoiled until last week, when of course I was completely spoiled by reading the short story.
Yeah, but you didn't even know that how spoiled you were, because I don't think even you could have anticipated just how close of an adaptation this truly actually is. That is I think the biggest surprise of it.
Definitely, I expect we'll talk quite a lot about the sort of adaptation choices and how direct so many things were. I guess my overall characterization was that it was a very, very clear, direct adaptation, and then the changes mostly lie in adding threads to sort of weave the pieces together and make the whole tapestry of it more rich, more full, more multidimensional and layered, but not changing hardly anything really.
Yeah, I think it, some of it just maybe more closely aligns with Mike's take on some of this stuff, but also enhances the things that it's already doing. I agree. I kind of set you up for this when I talked last week about like we need to pay special attention to the ways this adaptation is the same and the ways that it's different. And I bet your interpretation of that at the time was like, oh, it's going to be really different. But actually what I meant was so much of it is the same that the things that are changed, the things that are different, stand out even more because of that. Yeah,
we'll get to laugh at how my prediction of what the adaptation was going to be like was so wrong.
Oh, yeah, you were incredibly wrong, but that's okay.
Look forward to that. Yeah,
that's okay. Before we get started, just a little bit of homework here at the top. Next week, we are beginning our coverage of Stephen King's Carrie. We're going to be reading this book in 3 parts with an overview added at the end in preparation for Mike's television show. As I mentioned last week, Carrie is an interesting animal because there are no clear chapter breaks. And of course, writing down page numbers only works if everyone has the exact same edition of the book as I do, which is not the case. So just to tell you guys here, I'm going to read it here. You can write it down as you're listening. It's also going to be in the show notes. It's also going to be in the spreadsheet that has all the breakdowns of all the episodes. But basically, the only way we can do this is I'm going to outline what the final paragraph and the final sentences of each section as we read, and that's how we're going to break it down. So for you at home, next week, as we get into Carrie, the last sentence will be, "But the rock would not hide them. The dead tree gave no shelter." Ooh, wow. What could that mean? What could that mean?
I don't know.
Well, you do know.
Actually don't remember that from the book.
Okay. So. Well, okay. So like I said, that is going to be available in the show notes of this episode, is going to be available in the spreadsheet that has all the episode breakdowns, and we will have it for each one. So that's unfortunately the way we have to do it, just the way Carrie is written. There's no clear, obvious point of delineation here. But this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I hope you guys read along with us and enjoy the book. It's page 99 on this edition, the Chloe Grace Moretz cover edition that I have. No idea what that looks like in any other edition. I know for a fact I also have this 50th anniversary edition. It's not the same page in there. I think it's page like 80 something in here. So it is going to be different, but we'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Everybody knows the story of Carrie. There's no real spoilers here.
True.
All right. That begins next week. But right now, it's time to talk about the life of Chuck. This movie, Matt, came out in the year 2024. It was written, directed, and edited by Mr. Mike Flanagan. The director of photography on this movie was a man named Eben Bolter. This is a new name for us. He's not done. This is his first DP partnership with Mike Flanagan. Michael Famignari, I think we've said in the past, basically every single time Michael Famignari is not working with Mike on something, it is because he has something else. And indeed, if you look up Michael Famignari's IMDb, I think at about the time this movie was being filmed in like late 2024, I think, or 2023 rather, Famignari was directing his own movie. So probably a little bit busy doing that. Couldn't come in here and DP for Flanagan here, but that's okay because the movie still looks great. I think the movie looks really phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, it's a gorgeous movie. Although I definitely did have the perception of, my spider sense telling me this was not Famignari, just because we've learned to detect his style.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's a gorgeous movie.
We talked last week, I think, about like how did they get someone to give them money to make this movie? And I think the honest truth of this movie, Matt, is that nobody gave them money. This was a independent picture in the truest sense of the word. That, like, you can see at the beginning, like the number of production companies. This is Intrepid. This is Mike's Red Room Pictures. There's two other companies that I'm blanking on right now, but that is basically 4 different production companies coming together to pool the money to make this movie, made on a very, very low budget. The majority of the actors here are working at scale. The kind of a fun, interesting thing about this is this was filmed during the writer's strike and the actor strike in 2023. So most productions couldn't work, right? Because the actors were on strike. But because this was a truly independent film, it was not a film being made for any of the major studios, they were able to get an exemption with SAG in order to be able to have the actors still work on this movie, because the strike is between the major studios and the guilds, right? It is a bargaining agreement contract between those big studios and the guilds. So when you're truly independent, when you're truly not representing those studios, continuing to work does not destroy your bargaining power and your leverage against those studios, and therefore SAG can grant you exemptions. And so that is what happened here. And the cool part about it is, because so many of the actors in this movie were free, they were not working, they were able to come down to work at scale, to work for half a day, less than half a day sometimes. And so we get, like, there is a large group of actors that appear in this movie, a lot of Flanagan regulars, but then also a lot of new people as well, that are here for a very, very brief amount of time and then just go. And it's because of that, because they had that availability. It's because, once again, like, a weird kind of kismet happens where things just kind of work out, where probably wouldn't have been able to get all the people they got on this thing. They probably would not have been free if not for the strike going on.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching this movie with my daughter, my Marvel buddy daughter, and we kept having opportunities to comment that, hey, we didn't know this was an MCU movie. because the number of Marvel superhero characters that are in this movie is incredible. And I was just like, why is this happening? And I'm glad you explained that, because I didn't know most of what you just said.
Yeah, it's very fun. Another thing, like, this movie was filmed down in Alabama, where a lot of Mike's early work was filmed. I think it's really interesting. We talked about Fall of the House of Usher as kind of a culmination for Mike's career, and I still think that's true. I do think it kind of works perfectly for us that this is the thing that once we finish this episode, we will have officially caught up with Mike Flanagan. You know, we'll be caught up. There will be no more released Mike Flanagan things for us to watch at this point, which sounds crazy, but
no, I don't understand what you're saying right now.
But that's where we are, and it's interesting. Like, House of Usher served as this end of the Netflix era, this end of making TV with Netflix, this kind of culmination of his career in a lot of ways. I like this as like his career almost coming full circle, because we're back with a truly independent production, right? This is how he started. He's worked for a lot of big studios. He's worked for Netflix. He worked for Warner Brothers, but this is truly independent. This is them having to scrounge for every bit of money they have. They're back in Alabama. He's back with Karen Gillan, who he had not worked with since Oculus. If you listen to the director's commentary, which, let me just say here at the top, like, the director's commentary is very good. Like, if you like a director, you should listen to all their director's commentaries. I think Mike Flanagan's are particularly good. He's a very good storyteller, as you noticed, and he has a lot of great stories about the production. I am going to try my hardest to not just regurgitate every little bit of information I found fascinating from this director's commentary, because I want you all to go out there and buy the disc and listen to it yourself. But there's definitely some stuff I want to offer up here, because it also helped me kind of refine and understand my feelings on the movie overall. But anyway, one fact he has in the director's commentary is that, you know, they filmed Oculus in basically the exact same place in Alabama. And now here they are, how many years later, Karen Gillan is back. They're staying in the same hotel they stayed in. It's all kind of come full circle for them. I think my favorite little bit of trivia with that is that Annalise Basso, who plays Janice, who plays Tom Hiddleston's dancing partner, she was also in Oculus. She played the younger version of the Karen Gillan character. And when this was filmed, she is now older than Karen Gillan was when Karen Gillan filmed that role. And I'm sure they all had a very difficult time with that, realizing how quickly time goes by. But
wow.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by this is like it really being a full circle moment. It's an independent picture. They're back in Alabama where everything started. He's got all of his usual actors, and they're having to get creative and scrounge for money in all the ways that you have to do when you're truly independent. And it's in a lot of ways the little movie that could. I think we should say that this movie won the Audience Award at TIFF in 2024. It premiered at the festival. It won the Audience Award. It was a huge deal because I think at the time, the winner of the Audience Award for I think the last few years, the TIFF Audience Award went on to win Best Picture at the Oscars. So there was a lot of buzz that happened around this movie. After that, Neon acquired it. Neon was the company that distributed it. So they were an independent picture. They put the movie together. They brought it to a film festival to sell. They sold it. Neon took the movie. They released it. And, honestly, it didn't do too great in the box office, Matt, which is kind of my kind of eternal disappointment with Neon, which is a distribution company I like quite a bit. They distribute a lot of movies I like. They've had a lot of award success in recent years as well. I think they've won the Best Picture award the last 2 years in a row, I believe. But they decided to put this movie in June of 2025, last June. And it just feels to me that it's very easy for a movie like this to get lost in the shuffle. And I think that's what happened. It's the summer. It's not, I guess, the typical summer movie, right? So I just wonder if there was a better place to put it. We talked last week about how difficult the marketing of this movie, how big of a lift they had to market it. I think maybe now that you've seen the movie, you can agree with me. How do you tell people what this movie is without telling them the entirety of what this movie is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is an interesting sort of movie where I feel like the 90s were a time when people would go to the theater to watch a heartwarming soul searching reflective movie like this.
Yeah.
The 2020s are not that time.
Yeah.
People do not go to the movies for these type of movies anymore. And I don't know. We talk a lot about like box office stuff on the Doofcast sometimes, but I never feel like I know what I'm talking about. So
Sure. Yeah.
it's just
I certainly don't either. Yeah.
it's so multivariate. There's so many reasons why things happen or don't happen, and
yeah. And if any one person claims that they know all the reasons, they're lying, because nobody knows. We're all just trying to do the best we can.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, the movie found an audience. It didn't end up going up for any major awards, which was a little disappointing. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like I felt like the buzz was that Neon was going to push this in award season pretty hard, and then it just kind of didn't. And maybe it was just like it didn't get the box office buzz that they wanted, and then they just said this isn't worth our time to do, which is I don't know how these things work. I don't know how these decisions are made, but little disappointing that didn't happen. But who cares, because I liked this movie, and I have only grown to appreciate this movie more since it came out, and I really feel like this is going to be one that over time is going to build momentum and find its audience, and really that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the Life of Chuck?
Well, I love this. I mean, I was thinking as I was starting it up, I was like, when I have a lot of anticipation for a movie, I'm very often disappointed simply because my expectations are astronomical.
Sure.
And my expectations were astronomical, and I still was, delighted and heartbroken by the movie. I guess that's one thing I'll say is, like, I don't know. I feel like most of the time if somebody tells me a movie's going to be sad, then I can steel myself for it somewhat. But this movie kept kind of hitting me at odd angles emotionally. I was imagining I would save this specific comment for later in the discussion, but I guess this is a fine place to say it, is like, it was, yes, I would become emotional at the parts of the movie where it was obviously aiming to make me emotional, but I'd also become emotional at like random interstitial times where it would just be like Chuck is walking and the sun is out and it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And there's no, trickery being employed. There's no, I mean, unless the technique of the emotional manipulation is subtle enough to be like, the beauty of this is literally just breathtaking, and that's actually hitting you at a moment where you're thinking about the fact that this man doesn't have long to live or something like that. But that's kind of like the whole movie, right? So it was just really interesting to me how I would get choked up, and this happened like 3-4 times where I'd just be like, I don't even know what about this is getting me exactly.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, like little things, like there was a tiny moment I think you point out in the script where, we keep seeing the Chuck billboard in the first part of the story. And there's like a tiny little moment where we see, maybe it's the commercial. I forget exactly which.
It's the TV commercial.
The TV commercial where his smile kind of falters and he kind of frowns. And like that got me, right? And that's because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. It's just so, it's operating on a level that I don't actually understand how it's achieving some of these things.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like all my life I was definitely like I've always like been a movie crier person, where like movies have this very distinct ability to make me cry at the drop of a hat. I've never, it really wasn't until I became a parent that I experienced like crying and I don't know why I'm doing it. Like, it's just happening. And I was like, wait a minute, where is this coming from? I don't understand it. And that was my experience watching this movie the first time. And then it's kind of several times afterwards. Like, I mean, there are just moments that just absolutely move you. And I love that what you said, like those moments for you are just like small insignificant things, because it's just like something hits you a certain way, like the light hits you a certain way, and then bam, suddenly. I mean, I kind of cry through the dance sequence every single time, not out of sadness. There's just like pure unadulterated joy. I'm just like I have the biggest, dumbest look on my face when I'm watching that sequence, because it just makes me so happy. There's also a weird thing. We're going to talk about the dance sequence in detail eventually, but like there's a moment in it that, do you ever like find like this maybe this is going to reveal some weird broken part of me, but there's like an idea of like a certain level of social embarrassment hits you, and then like that excites you in a certain way. So what I'm trying to say is there's a moment here where Janice starts dancing for the first time and like starts shaking her shoulders. And there's a brief moment as it starts where I feel this very quick, brief tinge of like social embarrassment on her behalf, that like she's doing something that is a little bit socially embarrassing, because nobody else is dancing except for Chuck. It's just a group of people. And then like suddenly she's like, can't even control herself moving. And then like that fades away so quickly. And what comes in its place is this incredible amount of excitement that I have of her like breaking through the social taboo or whatever. Maybe it's just like I'm living vicariously through a character. Like I could and would never do something like this ever in my entire life. But I'm like so excited to see someone do it. Do you know what I mean? Am I just insane?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I felt that on this particular viewing, partly because I knew exactly what was going to happen and that it was all going to be fine. But I think I know what you're talking about. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about this movie all out of order because it's sort of a nonlinear narrative, and that's fine. But I like my reaction on the dance scene, my kind of meta reaction, I guess, is like, it's got to be, you know, I know Mike's a professional. This is his whole career. This is what he does. But it's got to be nerve-wracking taking on a project like this story where you know the whole thing hinges on, does this dance number work?
Yeah.
Does this dance number in the middle of what is really a serious story? And it's not like this is a musical in the sense of like, now we're just going to pretend that people dance randomly in real life, which is the musical thing. No, this is like a grounded real world thing. And then it's like, and then suddenly this guy in a business suit just stopped in the middle of the street and started dancing along with the busker. And it was actually beautiful. And it's like, how do you do that? And Mike Flanagan's like, this is how you do that. Because it could have been off in so many ways, right? It could have been like unbearably corny and cringe. It could have been underdone in a sense where you're like, oh, this is like they're not going for it, you know?
Yeah.
There's some combination of the dancing being just like tuned in, where there's a kind of realism to the dancing where it's like you can actually believe that a couple of people in the real world might be this good at dancing and might just run into each other. It's not like overly polished, but obviously it's actually highly polished. Like they definitely had to practice a lot to get to this point, but it's like, it's hitting, it's sort of like, I hate that I'm going to say this. It's like movie ugly where it's like you're, you know, it's actually excellent, but it's credible that this could be a thing in the real world, you know?
Sure. Because like they have to do steps that are not like completely rehearsed steps, but obviously rehearsed steps, but like believably that like two people who don't know each other could just do this.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I agree with you. Like this is the entire movie hinges on this scene. It is the core of the entire movie. It is also one of my favorite things ever. Like this would already be one of my favorite movies just for that 4-minute sequence, without anything else in it, which I also deeply love. But it's such a big bet, and it's like it's the reason why Hiddleston took the movie, right? Like why did Hiddleston agree to do this movie? Because the dance sequence, because he knew he would get to do this wonderful, huge, enormously challenging dance sequence. And you're right, they pulled it off. I think this is a hard work of so many people. This movie was choreographed by a woman named Mandy Moore. No, not the pop star Mandy Moore. This is another woman named Mandy Moore. She is a choreographer. I think she started out on I believe it was dance. It was either So You Think You Could Dance or Dancing with the Stars, one of those reality dance television shows. She started out there, then she started doing choreography for Hollywood. Like I think she famously did La La Land. She was also the choreographer on Taylor Swift's Eras tour, which is a pretty big deal. So they got like the best, and I know she's the best because I know her name. And I don't know any choreographer
Uh-huh.
in the whole world except for Mandy Moore. And so that's how I know that she's like one of the top level choreographers in the game. And so they got Mandy Moore. And I believe the individual who played Taylor, the drummer, is not a professional actor. She's a drummer. She's just a drummer named the Pocket Queen. That is what her name on the cast is. That is, she's a non-professional actor. She's just a drummer. So they got her, they got Mandy Moore, they got Hiddleston, and they got oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her name? Annalise Basso. The four of them got together and they just like worked the shit out of this. They practiced it so many times. Flanagan says that like Hiddleston was working in London at the time, so they flew the three of them out to London to meet with him, and they just rehearsed the absolute shit out of this thing. They filmed it over the course of 4 days. 4 days. Mike says that Hiddleston's brand new shoes that he got on the first day had worn holes in them by the end of the fourth day, because they were just doing like, you don't understand, like there's so many different angles and cuts on this thing,
Yeah.
and they had to run through the thing the whole way through each time, the whole way through. And it's outside, Matt. This is the thing that I didn't think about. It's outside. If you look at the sky, there are clouds in the sky. Well, what happens if the sun goes behind a cloud in the middle of your shoot? This is fucked.
Yeah.
It's game over. You
Yeah.
can't use that one.
Yeah.
Or at least you can't use that piece of it.
Yeah.
And so like just a ridiculous amount of work went into making this thing happen. Annalise Basso lost a toenail apparently during the course of this. So much work, and it all pays off. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's kinetic. I love all the different dance moves. I didn't realize this at the time. Mike talks about this. This is a good fact from the commentary. He kind of wanted to shoot it from the perspective of like the way they shot dancing in famous musicals, like through time. So it starts from like a very 50s like static camera type of way, where really the camera's sitting still and it's just panning to capture the actors as they move. And he kind of moves through the evolution of shooting dancing sequences until he's got to like the Fosse type, like very dynamic camera. I think the scene I'm thinking of is like when the camera like pulls up into the air as the two of them go around the circle. Like it's just every part of it I just love. It just puts the biggest smile on my face. I just love this so much.
It's this love letter to dance in film, really.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like I was thinking about what I was saying about like the sort of suspension of disbelief around the idea that these are just two people who met each other who've never danced before, and you buy it despite the fact that, as you say, it's this incredibly honed performance. I think a lot of it is that they are he is leading and she is following, and you buy that, right? Like obviously she knows all the moves exactly, right? He's not actually leading, she's not actually following. This is just a perfectly orchestrated dance number, but he always has to make the first move so that she sees what he's doing so she can follow, or there's a cue that she's picking up on. And the fact that they're able to pull that off is pretty astonishing. I've taken a couple months of ballroom dancing classes in my life, enough to recognize the dance steps basically. I don't think I could do any of them anymore, and kind of see what's going on during the scene and on the dancing level. I don't know if you've ever had classes in dancing, but it's actually super fun, and I always tell myself whenever I think about this, like, I should do that again. That was extremely fun, but then I forget immediately.
My classes in dancing really are just loving all the same movies that Chuck and his grandmother watch and love in this movie. Like I just think that was my childhood. Like I have very distinct memories of watching Singing in the Rain for the first time and just absolutely falling in love, being fascinated by just how well they move. It's like a thing like, like I've never tried to be a good dancer, but I also just like have a perfectly mature understanding of myself that I just will never be able to do any of that like that ever. And so what I like to do is just appreciate it from afar. I think it's beautiful. I love it. I love musicals. I love movies with dancing in it. And so this was for me very, very specifically. And so yeah, I love it.
So I don't necessarily want to stop talking about the dancing per se, but like this is the reason why this scene is so great, okay, not the reason, but narratively, I mean, is we have just ended part 3. We don't really know who Chuck is.
Mm-hmm.
We're being introduced to Chuck. We learned the scantiest amount of information about him via the narration. And he's still largely a cipher to us. We kind of see him as a stuffy accountant. And we've been told, like, well, there are layers to this guy. And by the end of the movie, we'll really understand who this person is, who this human being is in a very three-dimensional way. But at this point, we're just seeing Tom Hiddleston wearing an accountant outfit, walking, not looking particularly emotive. We're told that he's a good man, and I think this like taps into this fantasy we all have that we are capable of breaking out of our persona, of our performance of who we are, and doing something like this. And maybe dance isn't your thing. Maybe it's something else. It's some other fantasy that you have. But we all do have this. I was thinking about this today when I was like walking around in my office at work, and I'm like, oh, I'm performing this version of me, but it's like, part of your self narrative is like, but this isn't really me. This is a character I'm playing right now at the office. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the office Matt. And I'm not going to start dancing in the middle of the office, but there's like the inner knowledge that like, but I've got all these other sides of myself. I contain multitudes. These people don't necessarily get to know those multitudes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so that's like a perfect narrative encapsulation of this thing that everybody can relate to, and then allowing that to effloresce into this dance number is incredibly cathartic.
100%. And this is another place where I think the structure of the short story and thankfully the structure maintained by Mike Flanagan, this adaptation, really goes to benefit exactly what we're doing here. Because I think if we learn in the chronological order, like we learn Chuck is dancer first, accountant second, essentially in that final act, or I guess technically the first act, right? And I think if we know that going into the dance sequence, that moment doesn't play as well. Where I think you're absolutely right. Because we meet Chuck as stuffy accountant in a Mr. Businessman in his business suit, that's who we expect him to be. And so the moment of him stopping, the moment of him beginning to dance is as shocking for Taylor as it is for us, the audience, in that first moment. And something would be lost if we flipped that the other way. It would mean something different. It would be a recapturing of one of his multitudes instead of a reveal that, oh yes, he is a person with multitude. And I love it for that. I also really love we get these two really quick edits as the thing starts, where we cut very, very briefly to his grandma tapping the spoon on the pot, and then the hands in the air, just like really brief, almost like 2-frame cut to that. And I really love that as well, because it's like we don't know what that means yet, but we can already start making inferences there.
Yeah.
In a way that I just really love. And that's a great way of getting into it too, because you don't know Chuck really yet. You get these brief cuts that you can kind of make conclusions on, and you're already starting to warm up to this guy. And then he starts to dance, and he's good, and it's kind of goofy that like just it is the perfect level of a man in a suit just randomly starts dancing on concrete, to the point where like the less confident version of myself that like for years felt even uncomfortable dancing at a dance is like, everyone's gonna laugh at you when you do this. And then like the thing you slowly learn as you get older is that like people just really like watching people dance. And like even if Chuck wasn't like great, which he is, but even if he wasn't great, I think people would just like get into it. And like the worst case situation here is just someone says, oh, that's weird, and then just walks on, right?
Yeah.
And so you're just in on it. You're just totally in on it. And then when Janice joins, it goes to a new level, and it's wonderful. My favorite single like choice in how this whole thing is filmed is a really, I can't even explain to you logically why I love this choice so much, but there's this moment where both of them are dancing. I think it's near the end of the sequence where we cut back to Taylor, the drummer, and it's a cut of her playing the drums, and then Mike does this rack focus on the window behind her, and in that window, what we're seeing is a reflection of the two of them dancing, and like the focus shifts. It shifts where Taylor it shifts to a deep focus, so we can see the reflection in the window. And I can't even explain to you why I love that so much, but every time I watched this movie this week, like that jumped out at me. I was like, that's so great. I love that. I can't even explain why I love that so much, but I do.
It's just so joyful, it's such a joyful movie, which I'm all over the place, but like so many of these shows that we've covered have been incredibly like dire and like dark, right? And it's this huge delight and shock to me to watch this movie, and it's just so joyful. And yeah, the subject matter is about a man who's dying, but it's not about like, and that's really, really sad and you should just feel sad. It's like, isn't life amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't life beautiful?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's going to die relatively young, the whole point of the movie is basically like he's going to live his life as fully as he possibly can.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, he's going to act like that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And he also suffers all of this loss. It's a movie with a lot of a loss in it, and yet he still is this joyful person.
Yeah.
Who has these incredible high points that any of us would envy,
I mean, you say incredible high points, but like, yes, but like in the grand scheme of the way we measure success and a life worth lived, like, dancing on the street one day and then like getting to dance with a girl at a dance when you're a kid, like those are fairly mundane high points. And I think that's the point, right? Like that's like, these are the life defining moments. These are the things that we don't ever like think about as the things that matter the most, but they are the things that matter the most. That's why the end of the second act, that moment of like, this is why God made the world, just that, like just for a moment where you just stop on a random day in the middle of the week and just let the groove take you. And you don't have an explanation for why you did that. You will never fully know what made you do that on this particular day, but that is life. It is thousands, millions of those individual moments that add up to something.
I mean, I agree. I feel like my own sort of lifelong subjective high points never line up with the on paper high points. Graduating from college, or frankly, like even the birth of a child, while highly memorable, I think we've talked about this at some point. Like for a man, the birth of the child is like, wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
But you can't fully absorb it. It's like it takes you like a year to like actually absorb that. Yeah. And the emotional high points are later in that journey, obviously.
Yeah, I've only been a parent for 5.5 years now. But I can name 1,000 individual moments of joy that I appreciate more than like the moment of my kid's birth.
Right.
Like, and I think that's just going to remain true for me. And I know for like, it's totally different for women. I get that because it's like a moment of you've gone through a serious physical ordeal. Like it's a big deal. But yeah, for me, like, I mean, it's just like, my son just started kindergarten, so like we're in a very emotional state from that. But even like my son's first day of kindergarten doesn't hold a candle to like this morning. My son like jumped on me in bed, like I was sleeping, he was up, and he just like fully, just like full body weight, just jumped on me. Like that moment, I treasure more than his birth, which is it's just like because that's like it's a quintessential him moment. It's like this is what he does. This is how this is his joy. And so yeah, I mean like. I think part of this movie is examining the things that we call important and the moments that we call important and the moments that actually ultimately matter.
Yeah. I mean, and it lines up with what we've been saying about how the moments that make us emotional are often not in any clear way designed to make us emotional. It's just the beauty, the beauty of what's happening is hitting us in some way. Maybe it's even idiosyncratic. Like maybe you would watch the moment that I was getting teared up at, and you would just be like, "Oh, it's pretty, but I don't get, I don't get what's emotional about that." And I'd have to be like, "I don't either,"
Yeah.
It's just beautiful, and it hit me a certain way, and part of it is that I'm primed by like knowing the context of it and the story that we're inside. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I love, with that in mind, like the scene post dance when Janice and Chuck are just walking across that bridge, and it's golden hour, right? The sun is setting behind them. It's this beautiful, wonderful shot of just like absolute serenity and happiness, and like this movie makes me care about Janice so much in such a short amount of time. Like in that moment, like Chuck is like, we know Chuck is 9 months from dying. And he sees like this hurt kid who's just gotten dumped by this boy that she didn't even love. We talked about that last week. Like she didn't even love. It just hurts to feel rejected. And does like this moment of like, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. And look at this, like the movie doesn't have to say this, but look at this beautiful sunset behind you. Like we're two people walking across a beautiful bridge in a park, having experienced a profoundly important moment in our lives that maybe we don't even realize why it's important yet. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
Yeah.
In the continued goal of going completely out of order, I do want to talk to you about Act 3 with Chiwetel Ejiofor and our Marty and Felicia sections. One of the things I love most about this movie is the change. I call it a change, the enhancement that it made to make clear, I think, something that Steve sets up in the short story, but almost kind of can't show it in a way that Mike does here, where everything in the first 30 minutes of the movie that we see, we know we will learn eventually that this is a construct of Chuck's mind, but Mike makes that literal in that almost everything we see in this first half hour comes from something else we see in the later 2 acts, right? I mean, down to oddly like the car Marty is driving is Chuck's grandfather's car. The pipe that Sam is smoking is Albie's pipe. Every beat, every moment, we see the roller skating girl, we see Raul Coley, like we see we'll eventually see Marty himself as a teacher from Chuck's school. This is a thing that I think like the short story says that, right? The short story says that this world that has been created is a construct of Chuck's mind. But I just think Mike is like, well, we can show this in infinity amounts of ways. And that is like a lot of what the visual function of this movie is doing, is showing how this person's in Chuck's mind because he saw them there, and this moment here, and this moment here, and like showing how you build the universe inside your mind and populate it with these people both people that you know and people that you don't.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I also, I'm not sure exactly how to say this, but like he doesn't do it in a way that feels confining or constraining to us, where the symbolism of Act 3, smart people can still kind of have their own take on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's definitely an intended interpretation, which is what you just said, which is basically the inner world of Chuck, the world that is Chuck Krantz, is a symbol from all the experiences that he has had in his life. But also I think there are other ways you can look at it, where it's like it's the end of a world. It's the feeling of the end of a world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should playing it more abstract, I guess.
Yeah, playing it more abstract. I mean, I like I said, I got to watch this with my daughter. By the way, she also noticed the old-fashioned phone, which I didn't even notice, and she asked, like, why does she have an old-fashioned phone? And I was like, I don't know.
It's one of my favorite little bits that's hidden in this movie, because like Marty has a modern looking cell phone, and she is on not only just on a landline, but like clearly that's like a 1990s landline. Like I think maybe we actually even had that phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, what's that about? And it's, I think it's part of the creation. Mike says this in the commentary, that it's part of the creation of this kind of dream logic of this place, that this place is a construction of a mind, and so there are things that don't make sense. Like for example, like the fact that Marty's car is Albie Krantz's car means that Marty's car also has this ridiculously old radio in it, and he's just like, this is supposed to be modern times. This is supposed to be right now, and he's got this old ass radio in it.
He has like an iPhone, right? But he also
yeah. But it's great. It's great.
Yeah. But like so I just wanted to say she had a take where it was focused a lot on just like the idea of loss, and Chuck as a character who's experienced so much loss, and loss kind of feeling like the end of the world or being the end of a world.
I love that.
Yeah, and I loved it too. And I was like, and that wasn't my take because I had the short story in my brain and I've had like a week to think about this.
Yeah.
But it does kind of rhyme with the original take I had from the short story, where I was taking it much more like vibey and less like this is a literalization of Chuck's internal world. All this to say, like I like the way Flanagan has connected it and woven it in with the latter two parts. I think that's a very wise thing to do for a movie, by the way, because if it was thoroughly, vibey and disconnected, then I think the reaction of the audience who is not familiar with the story might be a lot more what the hell was that?
I mean, there are still people that as it is don't get it. Like and I think that like the scene with Kate Siegel, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is like the scene that kind of explains exactly what's happening, and it's no accident that right after that scene Chuck walks by Marty sitting on his desk to fully connect that back to you. But there's still people that like don't understand like what was that first part of the movie. I don't get it. What was that? So yeah, even with all the breadcrumbs and the directly connecting characters and beats and props and things like this, there are still some people who didn't understand it. So yeah, I think if you leave it so abstract, which maybe we could argue that's what King meant in the first place. He meant it as kind of an abstraction of a concept, that this is not literally the world that was created in Chuck's head, but this is an abstract representation of what it's like when a person dies, the metaphorical death of a universe. But yeah, I think for a movie you have to kind of literalize that, or at least visually connect it to tell that story, to draw that connection for the audience.
I think what we like about it is a metaphor that you can kind of elaborate on, and Flanagan is sort of handing us an interpretation, but it's also something you can kind of play with.
Yeah. And also, like, I think he does certain things to pull you through the movie. Like there's the wonderful part when Marty is talking on the phone to Felicia, and that's when he's doing the Carl Sagan cosmic calendar stuff. And then he's suddenly like looking up at the door to the cupola, and we don't even realize that yet, but like the way that shot is like, it's almost shot for shot the way Chuck himself will like sit at the bottom of those stairs and like stare ominously up at this thing, and we don't even understand. Like we even do like the zoom in shot of the lock, and we're like what is that? And there's a lot of like, what does that mean? And I think these are kind of the mysteries of the movie that's trying to pull you through to the next beat, because I do think like I love this movie. I think one of the fears I had when I first heard about this movie was like, and I talked about this with you a little bit, and I talked about it with my cousin a lot, who's a big Stephen King fan. And he kept telling me, is like, how the hell do you tell a person to go see this movie? Like how do you sell this to people? How do you make people understand? How do you prep people for what they're about to experience? And it's a tall order. And even sitting down to watch the movie, like I try to put myself in the perspective. I've never watched the movie without having read the book, so I have to like try to put myself in the perspective of what that must have been like. But like, yeah, I think it's a hard sell in a lot of ways, of like, we're going to do this completely weird, kind of sad end of the world thing, and then we're going to dramatically cut from that, and the next thing we're going to do is a musical number, and you're still not really going to understand. Like I think you understand on the base level is like, okay, the Chuck from the first part was this guy, but like what's going on there? I think it is kind of a hard sell, and people need to stick with it and kind of ride with the movie to fully understand it.
Yeah. I mean, It helps to have read the story. I imagine it would help
Certainly.
to watch the movie twice, but
Yeah, this is definitely a if you haven't read the story, this is definitely a multiple watches rewards you greatly type of thing.
Yeah.
I do want to briefly talk about Nick Offerman's narration, which I really do love. I love quite a bit. Because it's Nick Offerman, he has like the best voice. I wish I had the Nick Offerman voice. Can make so much money. Um, the if there's one thing about the movie I don't like, which is a very small thing, the narration takes over a much bigger part of the second two acts. And then in Act 3, the first act, this is so confusing. In the first part of the movie, it does show up very briefly for like a very short amount of time and then leaves. And there's a part of me that just wishes that in Act 3, we just kept the narration completely out of it. And it was just Marty and Felicia experiencing this thing without any words to it. And then we pick up the narration in the second part as we kind of move into the explanation of this thing. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely imagine a version of the movie with no narration. I think we might be a bit more lost than, especially like first time viewers might be even more lost than we kind of just admitted that they would be without reference to the story.
And that's part of me wonders if that's why it was ultimately decided that no, the third act needs Offerman too a little bit. And also part of it, I think, is like there's definitely for me some, and I really have grown to love the short story we talked about last week. I didn't like immediately love it, but it's very clear to me that Mike Flanagan like absolutely loves the short story and is in love with the words of the short story, and that's why like a lot of the dialogue and the narration is just taken line for line from King's short story. And so like including Nick Offerman, the only real lines that Nick Offerman has in Act 3 is like literally the first lines of the short story. And there's like part is like, did you just really want to capture those first lines, but you didn't want to do too much narration in Act 3? I don't know. Or maybe it was a note on this will help straighten things out. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if this is the way anybody was thinking about it, but the way I kind of see it is we want Act 3, the beginning of the movie, to feel kind of weird.
Yeah.
We want to be like, what is happening? What the hell is going on? We don't want a narrator to explain it to us.
Yeah.
But then in the latter parts, it's like, okay, let's take the plane in for a landing. We're gonna ground everything. We're gonna kind of contextualize what's happening and who's this guy and why are we doing this. Like if Chuck just like shows up and he starts walking, it's just you're kind of like, where am I? When am I? Is this happening after the end of the world? Is this? And it's like the answer to that question is none of that really happened. That's like a metaphor. It does help us to ground us and orient us a bit.
No, and to be clear, like in Act 2 and Act 1, I love the narration and I think it's perfect. My only question is whether we needed it in Act 3. It's a very small amount of it in Act 3, and I just wonder, would it be better without it at all? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, it was funny actually. I was remembering that one thing we talked about last week was just pointing out the prose, the Stephen King's prose, and how I believe what I said was something along the lines of this doesn't announce itself as being great prose, like it's not flowery or elaborate or use $4 words or any of that. It's just that if you change any piece of it, it would be worse.
Language,
and
likes to think he speaks others
and I feel like
at least he did.
Mike agrees because he's like, I'm just going to have some bits of the story in here, and and almost verbatim, if not verbatim, in some pieces, and let those speak for themselves, because like there's no improving upon it for landing this specific feeling. We're just going to have the text of the story, and then we'll kind of hang the scene off of that. So I thought that was just kind of a cool, like, deep lover of Stephen King, just being like, we're just going to literally have some of the story in there, here and there, sprinkled throughout.
I agree completely. and it's like, why fix what isn't broken? I think in that it becomes very interesting, the parts that are slightly changed. Because like what he chooses to change and what he doesn't choose to change, I think become really interesting. Like one of the things that I think is really interesting is like at the very end of this opening act 3, the moment where I think it's almost, and then there's the pause, and in the narration it says like what he didn't want to say was the end. And I'm glad, by the way, that Nick Offerman didn't pop up and read that narration there. But in the movie, he takes that away from Marty and he gives it to Felicia, almost. And he has Felicia say in that moment, I think it's almost. Yeah, I think it's almost. And I think just like that, like,
yeah, I think it's almost.
It's so funny because when I read the short story, like I just assumed, because I've watched this movie so many times and I know it's Felicia that says that line. When I read the short story, I just assumed it was, and it was only on a closer inspection reread before last week's episode that I was like, oh no, wait, it's Marty that says that actually. And I think it just makes so much more sense for that to come from her. And I think that repetition of, yeah, it's almost communicates the same thing without having the narration in there. I just think that's very clever. One of my other favorite beats of it is jumping ahead to Act 1 now briefly, when we have Chuck telling the story of how he got the scar. He says the universe is large and it contains multitudes.
The universe is
and
large.
In the Stephen King short story, the next word is it also contains me, and I am wonderful, and I have a right to be wonderful. In Mike Flanagan's version, the universe is large and it contains multitudes, but it also contains me. And I'm just so fascinated by the inclusion of that but there. It doesn't really change the meaning of the sentence that much, but just like the idea, I think the but to me crystallizes something that is like, I am looking up at the stars and feeling overwhelmed by my smallness. However, I am stating that I exist. Yeah. And I just feel like the but, for whatever reason, there really nails that point harder. I was shocked to see last week that it wasn't in King's original text.
Yeah, it's more of a, I'm going to stand my ground against this fate.
Exactly.
Whereas I think in the story, it's more sort of go with the flow.
Yeah.
Zen.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I think also one reason to give her the line is simply that she is more of a character in the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, we hear a little bit from her on the phone and then nothing. But in the movie, we get a whole scene with her at a couple scenes with her in the hospital.
Yep.
And I mean, she's the one who sees the graffiti that is all these sentiments and ideas and quotes from later in the movie.
Yep.
So she's just much more significant of a character, and
she gets to hang out with Raoul Coley. She also gets to hang out with Matt Bidell, sort of.
Yeah.
Did you catch him?
I did not see that was him. No, but
so Matt Bidell. My understanding of the story is he had a role in this as the doctor. He's mentioned, like I think when Raoul Coley says the doctor, he just left. He just completely left. He's mentioned by Rahul Kohli, and I think the scene that he filmed got cut, but he's still technically in the movie. And when we first meet Felicia and she's talking with Rahul Kohli, he walks behind him, he walks across the door, and he's like drinking something. And like that's Matt Bidell. That's his one bit.
I love that.
This is one bit in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Rahul Kohli is great, as always. Very funny in that charming, sardonic way that he has.
Yep.
I love his reaction when she says, I think there's going to be more marriages than divorces, and he's like, an optimist, and then she explains her cold, inexorable logic.
It's not optimistic at all.
And his reaction, his facial reaction, is just probably the biggest laugh the movie got out of me.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little one-off of our characters. Like I don't know if you noticed that the thanks Chuck, both the radio and the commercial, the voiceover on that is Carla Gugino. I don't know if you noticed that. Also, We see Hamish Linklater. We hear Hamish Linklater. The CNN news guy talking about California falling off the face of the earth is Hamish Linklater. And then there's one where they cut to like a French person speaking French about something that's happening over there, and that is Axel Carolyn, who is the director who has done quite a few episodes of Flanagan shows. So and then we have like random like character actors coming in for the parent teacher conference at the beginning. We have David Jasmalchin, who I love so much, who gets to be the one that talks about Pornhub, which is great because like that is another choice where that was narration in King's thing, and he found a way to put it in dialogue in a way that like really worked for me. Like David Jasmalchin, like he's in the movie for like 2 minutes, and he makes the Pornhub joke and then tells this incredibly sad story about how his wife abandoned him and his son for a fling she had in college, like a month-long relationship she had in college, and the devastation of that. Yeah,
which he then connects to the gossip, the gossiper later in the story, which I like. Yeah. That was a an unexpected
that's where that came from too.
That was that I liked that because that felt like a very organic way of again stitching the stories together.
Yeah. We also see Harvey Guillen, who I bring up only because people keep telling me that I have a voice similar to his, and I've never heard it myself. But I really love him. He's in Guillermo and What We Do in the Shadows. I think he's a fantastic actor and very, very funny. I've never in my life heard myself sound like him, but sure, we both have higher register voices, so I'll take it. I just noticed like someone said that, and then someone else was like, "Oh yeah," and then multiple people were like, "Yeah, totally." So yeah, I guess I sound like Harvey Guillen. I take it as a compliment.
Okay.
Yeah. So lots of fun little like one-off appearances like that. We have a new entry, Matt. We have Matthew Lillard joining the Flanagan team. He gets to play Gus, the blue collar sanitation worker that wanders home unsure of what to do after there's a sinkhole. So I love Matthew Lillard, right? I like watched Scream when it came out, and it became one of my favorite movies, and I just love his performance in that movie so much. It's so big, it's so wonderful and weird. I didn't know he was capable of a thing like this, and I just have a very distinct memory of walking out of the theater being completely blown away by this, and just like I think he's fantastic. I think he starts off like jokey, and he's playing it in like a very what you would expect to see from Matthew Lillard. Like that's how he starts playing the monologue he gets here. It's like very jokey, very kind of over the top, like big eyed, and the way he does, right? Mm-hmm. And then it has that serious turn, and it like gets to a point where like he's overcome with emotion. He's overcome with the realization of all this stuff. He gets to say the waiting is the hardest part line, which is taken from Artie Krantz, Alfie Krantz.
That's the hardest part.
And so he gets to do that, and then we see him live in that sadness, and then we almost physically see him push all that down, and the smile comes back on his face, and he like resumes his Matthew Lillard-ness. And I was just like, holy shit, I didn't know this guy could do that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, speaking of like parts of the movie that I didn't expect to hit me emotionally as hard as they did, is the earnestness and vulnerability of him navigating this and watching him. I was thinking about this the other day, that like the only thing more emotionally evocative than watching an actor cry is watching the character struggle not to cry. Mm-hmm. For some reason that gets me more, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what he was nailing. And yeah, it was great. Yeah, he's a fantastic addition to this story. He really, I think if there's any, you know, it's in a sense part, you know, act 3 is hitting you with a few different characters who are all reacting in their own unique way to the end of the world. His is the most raw, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, what the hell is happening? This is awful.
Yeah.
There's not any like intellectualization of it, and that I think just made it hit the hardest, until maybe the very end when you're kind of watching it all shut down.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Gosh, Matt Lillard, Jesus,
Yeah.
he's so good. I love his stumbling on bubonic plague.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Flanagan did not mention this in the director's commentary, but I don't know if that was like a scripted stumbling or it's just like Matt Lillard like struggling to say what can be a difficult word to say, like bubonic plague. That feels very Matthew Lillard to me, but in a way that like just perfectly worked in the like because he's very emotional. He's very high strung. He's very I think he says everyone's in acceptance mode, but I don't think he's fully accepted his situation yet. And so he's struggling to get there still.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it just works for me.
It's funny, before you even brought him up, I was thinking like this is kind of like our reaction to John Leguizamo in the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Where we were like, I've always loved John Leguizamo, but I didn't know he had this gear.
Yeah.
Until this movie.
John Leguizamo also will be seen in The Exorcist next year.
That's extremely exciting.
Yeah. He's having a moment.
Yeah.
We also see an actor that we haven't seen in a while, Matt. We see Seda Ukulona. I'm probably going to say her name wrong. I'm sorry. But I don't know if you remember this woman. This is the woman that Marty sees that works at the bank and is like, hey, do you know who Chuck Krantz is? Well, that woman is the woman who gave the monologue about her dead husband in the first episode of The Haunting of Hill House. We talked about this woman who came out of nowhere and just delivers this fucking banger monologue in the very beginning of the show to really just set the entire tone for what the show is. Here she is. It's good to see her.
Yeah. Yes. I knew I recognized her. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Sam a little bit? Talk about the Carl Lumley character. Shows up to talk about the Earth slowing down. I don't have a lot to say about this other than just like Carl Lumley, man. I just every time he's on screen, I just get a smile on my face. Like here in this scene, and then we also get to see him in Act 1 again. Is he the only? Well, he's not the only character that shows up from Act 3 to Act 1, but he's one of the few characters.
I mean, I think he's one of the few that has like an actual speaking role and like a sense that he has like a continuity of who his character is, because isn't he okay, now my brain may be getting completely confused. Isn't he a funeral director in both universes? Not
only is he's a funeral director that wants to be a weatherman in both versions.
I like that, because that's the kind of detail that you can imagine a person spending their whole life being like a funeral director who wants to be a weatherman. What a
very specific.
Yeah. And that just lodges in Chuck's brain as a character who populates his inner life.
Yeah. That conversation largely happens the exact same way that it does in the book. And I think they both deliver. I mean, one thing I want to talk about here that you and I were talking about is like, so they hired Chiwetel Ejiofor to play this Marty character, and he's not the lead of the movie. I don't think this movie has a lead, right? Like it's like you could say it's Hiddleston, but he's only really in the middle section.
Yeah.
Marty, he's the lead of Act 3, I think we can call it.
Yeah, he's the lead of Act 3. Hiddleston, it's like he's such a contained performance that I walked into the movie expecting it to be a Hiddleston movie, and it's. I mean, maybe this is gonna, sound ridiculous, but I feel like the kid whose name I can't remember is the lead. the kid. Are
you talking about the 10-year-old version of Chuck?
Yeah, the 10-year-old version. I mean,
yeah.
In some ways, he is the dramatic heart and spine, and kidneys, etc. of the movie.
I do like that Mike is like in the commentary, he's like, yeah, and so now we get to the last act, which is Act 1, which is the longest act of the movie, and now the entire movie rests on the shoulders of this 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And that's true. He's an actor named Benjamin Pajak. You and I got to see him in The Lost Boys when we were in New York. We went and saw The Lost Boys on Broadway, and he was in that. He played oh my gosh, which character I can't remember.
Play
I can't remember the Lost Boys character.
The little brother, right?
He played the little brother. I can't remember what his name is. Is it? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He played the little brother.
Yeah, and he was great. He's a multi-talented, phenomenon.
Yep. He was awesome in that. He's great in this. Yeah, but so Chiwetel Ejiofor, pretty well-known actor, very good actor, signs on to do this movie. He's very good in it. I love his performance in this movie. It is interesting that a lot of his performance in this movie is reaction, right? Like you like we talked about this a little bit when we were reading the story last week, but like essentially the plot of Act 3 is Marty walks around and listens to people talk about how sad they are that the world is ending. Felicia calls him on the phone. She talks to him. He talks with Gus. He talks with Sam. He has the brief interaction with the girl on roller skates, and then he talks with Felicia again at the end of all things. But mostly, like what his role in this story is to react. And a lot of actors, probably would not want to do that. I mean, he does get the Carl Sagan monologue on the phone, which is great. I love the cosmic calendar thing. I love that they put it here. This was an addition from Stephen King's short story, right? The cosmic calendar is not in that short story, but I think it fits very much in what we're trying to do here. Like the idea of how small we are in the grand scale of existence. And yet. Yeah. So I think Chiwetel Ejiofor does like a really great job of playing that role, right? He just reacts, he just listens, he just observes, and he responds. There's a moment here, like when he meets the little girl on rollerblades. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but like, it's not that he's like crying, but his eyes are like wet, glistening in a way that I found really powerful.
Yeah, that was one of those other unexpectedly powerful moments where he's not saying any of this, but you're reading telepathically off of his actor face. He is thinking about the fact of this being a child.
Yeah.
And that the world is ending now.
Mm-hmm.
And and she's not going to get to live her life. You can see him thinking this. The movie never tells us this is what he's thinking. You're just seeing in the slight delay before he speaks, the nature of his face, his like you said, his eyes. I mean, the greats always say that like great acting is reacting.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he has this entire role where he's got a monologue in there, he's got lines, but I feel like the strength of this performance and this character is in the reaction. The humanity of the character is in the reactions and the empathy for what everyone else is going through. And yeah, he's having his own tragedy because everyone is, but he is able to sort of feel everyone else's tragedy too.
Yeah, he kind of has to play like that sucks of the tragedy. Like he doesn't have anything to say to people's tragedy, so he's just listening and responding with, "Yeah, that sucks."
Yeah.
One change they made with the roller skating girl, who by the way is played by Violet McGraw, who was young Nell in Hill House. Look how grown up she is.
Mm-hmm.
The one change they made to that dialogue is he says, "I used to love skating," and her response is, "Then you should go skating."
I used to love skating.
And I think that fits this idea of, maybe a person trying to recapture a thing that they loved when they were younger, but they put aside for one reason or another.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection. You're totally right. Sorry, I just wanted to remark that isn't she also in Mithrigan? She is. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, she's blown up since Hill House. Like, she's having a good career.
She's been in a few things. Yeah, but that was the thing. My daughter was like, "Hey, it's Megan," or it's the girl from Megan.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did you know that this episode or this part 3 takes almost exactly 39 minutes?
Nope.
Isn't that funny?
Love that.
It's almost certainly a coincidence. And I know this to be a fact because Mike talked about how there was a longer scene with Chuck's wife and son in the hospital bed that basically was the scene from the book where they're talking about, I think it wasn't his wife, it was his brother-in-law, Chuck's brother-in-law and son, kind of setting up what's going on here and who Chuck is and how he's dying. There was a longer scene with dialogue that was in the original movie. They filmed it, but it was eventually decided that it kind of messed with the pacing too much, because there's this kind of like franticness on the Marty and Felicia side of things, and just breaking away from that for so long to do that whole big scene just messed with the pacing, so they cut it out. So it's not like this whole first part was designed to be exactly 39 minutes to match the 39 years that Chuck lived. Just kind of ended up that way. It's also not, it's like 38 minutes and 46 seconds, so it's not like they did this on purpose. It's a coincidence.
Yeah. It's one of those coincidences where like you have a number in your head and you keep thinking about that number and you're doing other stuff, and then you accidentally push things in a direction where that number is going to pop up in other places, you know?
Yep.
I don't know.
I want to talk to you about the last line of this section really bit, because like I think what I said last week was it felt cruel to me that the world ended before Marty could get off that one final "I love you," right? And it's not that I don't think that anymore, but this is another, I'm going to reference the director's commentary thing, because Mike says, I love it, something to the effect of, I was trying to remember the exact words, but like, if the last thing you are saying or thinking as you die is how much you love a person, isn't that like the best way to go? Like, isn't there's no better way to go than that? And I was like, fuck. Like, it's just so interesting to me that I read that as a negative, that he didn't get to complete the sentence. But Mike Flanagan reads that as, I can't think of a better way when my time comes to die than to die thinking about the things that I love and the people that I love.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I had the same thought as Mike, but I definitely thought of it more as beautifully poignant than, you know, bitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that, because it's like if you say it and then the world ends on the beat immediately after it, then that's just as different. That's like,
yeah,
and ending on her reaction rather than ending on just the fact that he's trying to express this. And it's not like she doesn't know what he's saying, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We also get to see the music that plays, like "Gimme Some Lovin'," a song that will, of course, become very important to Chuck, or was very important to Chuck throughout his life, plays right as he dies. And that's almost like the thing that's going through his head as Chuck dies is that dance, the moment in that school gym where he danced with Kat. And man, that's pretty cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Act 1, the longest act. We talked a little bit about young Chuck. I think we should say that the youngest Chuck, littlest Chuck, like 5-year-old Chuck, is Cody Flanagan. That's Mike and Kate's son in his acting debut, playing that kid. So that's fun. I like that.
Yes, that's great.
Let's talk about Mark Hamill.
Yeah, sure.
So this is something I actually want to spend a lot of time on. So first of all, bold statement here. We both love Mark Hamill. He's Luke Skywalker. We love him. I feel like this is his best, like, just acting job ever. Like, I'm not saying this is like his best character, like the best thing he's been in. He was Luke fucking Skywalker. Come on. But like, just like from a pure acting perspective, like, was his acting good in Star Wars? It was good enough. You know, you had George Lucas dialogue. No one can make George Lucas dialogue sound completely believable.
I mean, my take is that one of the best things about Return of the Jedi, and one of the reasons why I love Return of the Jedi, is purely on him and his ability to communicate like the change of this character. But anyway,
yeah,
yes,
no, I think that's fair. Yeah.
I agree with you, though. Like, just straightforwardly agree with you that this is certainly my favorite thing that I've seen him in. Where it's a very grounded character. I mean, he's not. It's not like a big character, right? Like, everybody loves his Joker voice, you know, his joy, like that. That's great, but that's like very big. It's kind of easier to like stuff that's big.
Yeah,
this is grounded, and it's just he disappears. He really disappears into this role.
Does. I mean, we kind of, when we talked about The Long Walk over on Kingslingers, I think we I don't criticize seems like a harsh word, but like I didn't love his performance as the major in The Long Walk, and I think it was because it was like big. It was big. It was almost too big in a way, and I'm not. It's like I think the character calls for that. I just didn't buy it as much. It felt more caricature than character. Again, I think that's part of the point. But man, this is not that at all. This is, as you said, it's grounded. He disappears in the role. Like his hair is different. He grows the mustache. Like his posture is different. Like he plays slumped over. He really, he is this guy. And this guy, I have such complicated feelings about Alfie Krantz. I'm gonna have to. This is gonna be like a therapy session for me here today, Matt.
Yeah, let's do it. I think you have more complicated feelings than I do. I think I might align with Alfie more than you, but
I think you do, and I think I ultimately got to a place where I was okay with it. But I guess to set it up, what I'm of course talking about like the math monologue, which is like the big holy shit Mark Hamill kicks ass monologue that I just think is like all time great stuff, like great writing. By the way, none of this in the book, right? This is all a Mike Flanagan original. And I have to say, the first time I watched this movie and the first time I heard this monologue, I got really angry. I got mad. I got mad. And we talked about this a little bit last week. I'm going to talk about this again. My undergrad degree is in accounting. So I am not an accountant. I do not do the books or tax accounting. I mean, I do my own taxes, but that is not what I do. But my undergrad degree is in accounting, and I also was a person that wanted to do some other things in my life. And so the idea of someone sitting a child down, a child who has big dreams of dancing, and saying, well, I'm just gonna be honest with you, kid. No, you shouldn't do that. It's a terrible idea. That really attacked something in me that like I was just furious with him, right? Like that the line, "The world's love dancers," it truly does, but it needs accountants. Like just replays in my head a lot. Like the world loves dancers. There's a part of me that in my life that chose to do like the safe route, the known route. I like when I was a kid, when I was in middle school and early high school, I wanted to be an actor. That's what I wanted to be. And I think that was because like I really loved movies and I really loved attention, as you can see from this whole thing. And so I was like, well, obviously, you can do that. But I also I think there was a part of me that like didn't think I was very good at acting. So I have this really great thing where I have the fragility of an actor, but none of the talent, which doesn't really work out. But I like kind of abandoned that thing. And I was like a very young kid trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and in school, and was like made rash choices that are just like, well, this is and I didn't really think about it. But I also had an older sister who was exactly 4 years older than me. I watched her go to school for English. I watched her get a degree in English, and I watched her exit school into nothing. And I also like felt as a man pressure to do like the practical safe thing. And I felt all these pressures, and I felt like I was being talked to by this character, that Albie Krantz was saying, "You, Scott, accountant, that's what you should have done. Not the other stuff, not the creative outlet, not the riskier stuff, not those things." And like, I'm sitting here listening to him tell this to a boy who's going to die at 39 years old and screaming to myself, no, do the thing that you love. Do that thing. Do that thing. And I got so mad about it. And then I saw and then I really wrestled with the idea that I think ultimately Chuck chooses to synthesize the thing. So my first read of the movie honestly was Chuck going to the dance and then dancing under the stars is a rejection of everything his father says. And then I was like, but he ends up being an accountant anyway. And now what I see it for is actually a synthesis of what I actually see when I got over my
There are 23
constant
hours
like
and 56
nagging
minutes
myself over my
in a
life
cell a
choices.
day.
What I saw was a kernel of truth to everything he's saying. And I think the core of this to me is the idea that there can be art in anything you do. That there, like, no matter whether it's accounting or engineering or whatever, there's a certain amount of art and expression and fulfillment that you can get from any choice you make in anything you do. And the idea that we are multitudes, right? He is an artist, he is a dancer. He also likes math. I think it actually is very important to the character, and this was something that was cut out of the movie because we cut out the scene with his wife and his son where it really nails the fact that like Chuck is good at his job and he likes his job. Like I think like he is fulfilled by his job and he's fulfilled by his life. It is not what he thought it was going to be. It has narrowed, as all things do, but there is a sense of fulfillment there. And I've grown as I got over myself to appreciate that and see the idea that there's also part of this, by the way, the idea that there's art in math, I think is something that I've begrudgingly accepted. And the idea that, like, you know, I might not be fulfilled by my life in accountancy, but I am fulfilled by many other things in my life, including my children, my wife, like the things I choose to do for fun, this thing we do together. The other side of this equation, I think, is the secret that I think Albie is trying to communicate here that I don't know if Chuck really hears, is the idea that there's also math in art. One thing that you and I think have realized the more we've gotten the opportunity to talk with the people that make the things that we watch and talk about and love is there is a lot of artistry in it. There is a lot of talent in it. There is a lot of expression in it in these beautiful, profound ways. There's also just like a lot of mundane work in it. There's math in it. There's project management in it. Like we don't like to look at art this way. But the truth of the matter is that making a movie is as much of a science as it is an art. Yeah. And so I love this idea that Flanagan instilled in this thing that is there, and I think is there in the short story, but I think it's ultimately more expressed and more profound in this idea of not all of us are going to get to be dancers. Not all of us are going to get to make movies. Not all of us are going to get to realize our dreams of being a weatherman. But there is fulfillment and satisfaction in the things that we do and the choices that we make. And there is art in everything, whether it's accounting or movie making.
And there's math in everything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all part. Yeah. The universe contains everything.
It contains multitudes, and there's no right way to live your life.
Yeah.
And the memorable things in your life aren't even necessarily going to be connected to these choices at all. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love all that, by the way. I mean, I think I think my reaction was simply that I relate to adult Chuck quite a lot. Like I love this detail that he goes on he was on a panel at the conference, right? And the reason I like that is I'm an engineer and I go to conferences and I give talks. I don't actually know that I've ever been on a panel, but I'm involved, right? I'm not a passive recipient of the conference, and Chuck is not a passive recipient of the conference. He's an active participant in the conference, and that kind of tells you he enjoys this. He's putting himself into it, right? You don't accidentally end up on a panel at a conference.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And that he understands these people. He even likes these people. He speaks their language. He considers himself one of them enough that he is kind of a kind of leader. If you're kind of on a panel, people are looking to you. And he finds the topic of the conference fascinating, the future of accounting in the 21st century or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And yet he knows there's other parts to himself. And I relate to that very much. Like, and I
Sure.
think there's beauty and there's artistry in engineering, and I'm sure there is in accounting too.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think Alfie Albie, I keep calling it Alfie. Albie is just correct that, especially when it comes to creative accounting and creative tax accounting, of just like, this is there is kind of an art to it, of like the rules are, in a lot of ways accounting is very simple, but it can get very complex because there's, you know, ways you can maneuver things and choices you can make. And I think Albie's just correct there. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the thing that I think matters is Charles Krantz does not live a life of regrets.
Yeah.
He does not look back on the choices he's made and the things he's done and say, "Oh, I wish I had done something different. I wish I had done something different." Like even in the dialogue about the narrowing of life, what it says after that is, yeah, but he has a wife that he's faithful to and a intelligent, wonderful kid. And like that's if I'm being honest with myself, that's me too, right? Like the choices that I've made have led to where I am right now. And where I am right now is a life that I cannot imagine not having. Like I cannot imagine not having my wife and my children. I cannot imagine these things, and those choices led to it. So the idea of looking at this thing and saying, "No, you fool! Like don't tell a small child not to chase their dreams. What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's maybe being a little bit too harsh, a little bit. Like it really does, even though I'm not angry about it anymore, like watching Chuck's face as he goes to the statistics part about the monologue of just like, you're never going to make money being a dancer. It's like, there's a more tactful way to do that, but there's still truth in it.
Yeah. I think we're meant to be crestfallen and crushed by this, but also like as adults, just recognize like Chuck's not going to make a living as a dancer, probably, right? Like, like statistically, just like he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world loves dancers. It truly does, but it needs accountants.
Yeah.
Fuck. I hate that. It's true though.
Yeah. Yeah. So the narrowing, the point you just said about narrowing, like when I was younger, in my mid-20s, I was really fixated on optionality. I love this word, optionality. And I would make decisions where I'd be like, well, I'm just going to go with whichever path preserves optionality or expands optionality. And when I was making
Could
my
you define
decisions,
optionality? Is that just like having options?
Yeah, like maximizing the breadth of choices that you are able to make. Like,
okay,
I could. I mean, this comes a lot in early career. Like just thinking about early career choices. Like should I immediately go get a job or should I go get a master's degree? Well, if you get a master's degree, then you preserve the optionality to like change to some other life track or bail out of your master's at any point if you get a better offer, or et cetera, right? Like there's a lot of pragmatic choices when it comes to these things. Yeah.
I just love that you and I make decisions like so differently from each other. Like I just never even consider it on that level.
That's funny.
It's the ways, and we're very similar in a lot of ways, and in some ways we're so different.
Well, the point of the story is more that like I'm not that person anymore, actually. So the point was like I was really fixated on preserving optionality when I was young, and then now it's like, yeah, your life narrows and you lose optionality, but like it's because you've made choices, and then the choices, unless you have screwed up, are narrowings that you have chosen. You know, you have like what is the point of optionality unless you're going to make a fucking choice at some point?
Yeah.
And a choice is a commitment where you are intentionally pruning some of those other options, right? That's
sure.
That's the reality. And so of course there's a narrowing, right? And King who wrote that would agree with this. Of course there's a narrowing. There has to be a narrowing. And narrowing is actually a sign of success. If you have infinite optionality at age 40, you haven't really made any commitments, I would say.
You've made no choices.
Yeah.
You've done nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, and I think Chuck's choices are a distillation of his experiences. Like he is Albie Krantz, and he's also his grandmother as well. He is this, and like I think Flanagan does this in a very Spielbergy type way of like Steven Spielberg famously had this very mathematically engineer, practical, rational driven father, and this very artistic, aloof mother, and Steven Spielberg is kind of this distillation of both those ideas. This is, I mean, watch The Fabelmans. You see that play out, and that is kind of ultimately what I think Charles Krantz is this combination of his grandfather and his grandmother, and of course a little bit of his family as well, and then a little bit of Chuck in there as well. And I love that. That's just how people work. and like, yeah, the idea of we contain multitudes is like, we are not defined by, like, Charles Krantz, yes, is an accountant, but he is not defined by being an accountant, just like I'm not defined by having a accounting degree. That is not who I am. That is just a facet of me. Yeah. Speaking of Sarah Krantz, Albie's grandmother, do you recognize her? Do you recognize this actress?
I'm sure I did, but now I'm blanking on.
Okay, we've had conversations about you not seeing high school films.
That's
you
true.
You have seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, though, right?
Parts of it.
What? What?
You know.
Jesus Christ.
I think I may have been in the room when it was on.
Okay. Well, Sarah Krantz is played by Mia Sara, who played Ferris Bueller's girlfriend in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She was also in the movie Legend. She's a wonderful actress who was retired until she watched Midnight Mass, and I think had a lunch with Mike and Kate and said, "I'm retired from acting, but if you want me to do something, I will come out of retirement for you."
Many such cases.
And Mike Flanagan said, "You're going to regret saying that." Or maybe not, because she came out of retirement to play this character. She's wonderful in this. She looks phenomenal, by the way. She's like, I think she's 60 something. She looks great. I loved her, like, just as a kid, like watching Ferris Bueller, I don't think I watched Legend as a kid. That was you.
That was
yet
me.
You still don't, yet you still don't know her. This is hurtful.
Who was she in Legend?
I don't know, man.
She wasn't.
Girl?
She wasn't the main girl, I don't think. I thought the main girl was I mean, she might have been.
I mean, she's definitely the main girl.
Was she the main girl? I thought the main girl
was definitely the main girl. I was like, what do you mean she's not the main girl?
I thought the main girl was some other extremely recognizable famous actress, but I guess...
Mia Sara.
I guess so.
What are you doing to me?
I think I'm just like, man, I'm so confused. Are we
the Tom Cruise movie, just so we're on the same page, right?
the one with the giant demon devil.
Yeah, played by Tim Curry, and also starring Mia Sara as Lily, the female lead of the movie.
Wow.
The one with the unicorn.
You're right. You are correct.
I did not. This is not the way I thought this conversation would go, and I'm alarmed.
I'm processing.
I think that the main point I wanted to bring here is that, as you know, Matt, I have also been retired from acting for roughly 40 years.
Right.
But I also really love Midnight Mass, so I would just like to let Mike Flanagan know formally that I would be willing to come out of retirement to appear in The Dark Tower. Just
right.
to put that out there.
No, that's good. I'm glad that you're taking that risk.
Yeah, making choices. I'm narrowing my life.
That's right. That's what you just did there.
So yeah, what we're kind of rolling around Act 1.
Yeah.
What would you like to talk about?
I mean,
here?
just a couple beats. One, I love Kate Siegel's character in this. It's
yes.
The sort of hippie, highly intense, sort of joyful hippie character. Really different from anything that I think we've seen her do in this project.
Yeah, she's kind of has to be like, she's a quieter character also, because like this idea that like she has no disciplinary control of her class and is just trying to read them a Walt Whitman poem while no one is paying attention.
Yeah.
I love the bit is like she would probably not make it in the public education system for very long.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's almost this like ethereal performance that I love, like the register. Her voice is even different, I think.
love the way she grabs his face when she does the
What's in there?
Yeah.
the "you contain
In my
multitudes."
Yeah.
My
part.
brain.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a tricky thing to hit, right? Where you're aiming for, like, she's a little weird. She's a little bit of a space cadet, but also completely earnest in a way that is beneficial, and like Chuck needs to hear this.
She's also saddled with some of like the most important expository dialogue of the movie, right? Because like I said, she is the one that kind of finally explains to us this is what has been happening. Everything that Charles Krantz has experienced and seen and observed and just like bounced off him in the course of his life has built this other world. And then Chuck has to ask the question, well, what would happen to that world if, let's say, there's a patch of ice? I love that too, because then like that's as a teacher, I can only imagine what that's like when you know he's this kid who's lost his parents, and then he brings that up directly and how you deal with that. And I love how Kate plays that of just like, you don't need to worry about that right now. Just know you contain multitudes, and that is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. That's another sort of hard bullseye to hit, because she doesn't, the way she says it, the way it's conveyed, it's not dismissive, right? Because there's a way to say that where it's like, you're dismissing my worries. And it's really just like, look, there's nothing we can really do about that, Chuck.
Yeah.
That sucks, in other words.
Yeah, that sucks.
But like, this is your life. And you contain multitudes, and that's wonderful, and that's just true. And also, I think it's kind of a little, injunction to not take the metaphor too seriously, because it's a metaphor.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like that. We don't actually like. I think that is important. That like the tragedy of a universe ceasing to exist because a person dies is not like, oh no, Marty and Felicia.
Yeah.
Like those aren't real people. Like they're constructs. It's just the idea of something like this is the thing I've been thinking about a lot this last week, is just like the kind of overpowering hugeness of the concept that like what the universe is to me is everything that's in my brain. It's everything I experienced. It's like that is like definitionally how I can define it, because it doesn't exist any other way for me, right? And the same for you. And so like that view, that perspective, that point in the thing that is existence is wholly unique to me, and it is massive. It is everything. And that is a tragedy when that dies, not because poor Marty and Sarah, like that is a metaphorical creation of what that death of that thing feels like. But but don't take it too almost don't take it too literally.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically just like the death of a person should hurt as much as the loss of a world.
Yeah.
Of a universe, because that in a semi-literal, semi-metaphorical sense, that's happening. Like that person's whole universe has been extinguished.
Yep.
And that is, like you said, that is the tragedy. It's that is enough for that to be a tragedy. Yeah, I like that.
We have to talk a little bit about the kids dancing, not to completely shift.
No, that was my other bullet that I wanted to hit, and how, I mean, we spent a lot of time gushing about the Tom Hiddleston dance. I feel like this is, just as wonderful for all the same reasons. We could just carry over a lot of the same comments. I love the actual dancing. I love all the build up toward it too. Like, I think that's one thing where the Tom Hiddleston dance in the beginning just pounces on us and is spontaneous and a shock. This one is, dramatically built up for the whole act, right? The whole last part of the movie. And the movie does something the book doesn't quite do, which is like it turns it into a dramatic crux of like, is he going to do it? Is he going to go through with it?
Yeah.
Because he's really, really nervous, and he tells her no. So
I do have a question for you on this, because part of my read of his nervousness came from, and I think like this is just positionally, this scene comes right after the math monologue, right? And so, especially when I was angry at Mark Hamill, I was like, "Look what you did to him! Like you made him not want to dance anymore because you put all this pressure on him and told him no one likes people love a dancer, but you'll never make a living that way. Dancing, forget about dancing. Don't ever do this stupid dancing stuff." I'm being very uncharitable, but that was my read the first time. And so I came into the scene going, part of the reason why he's so nervous and unwilling to do it is because he's feeling seriously conflicted about should he continue to love dancing the way he does. I don't have that read anymore, but maybe it is a little bit that.
Yeah, I think it's involved. I think it's related. I do. That was my take as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I mean, it gets us involved more. Like, oh, we really really want to see him do that.
Yeah.
And there's more build up. There's more tension around it. And then when he does it, it's all the more satisfying. And Samantha Sloyan's character, the dancing teacher, who is not even really in the story at all, is a fantastic addition here, and her being being there to kind of prod him into making the right choice, but in a very loving and mature way. I enjoy that. Yeah,
I love her character. I just so you know, and everyone else knows, like when Mike Flanagan gave her the script, he was thinking that she would play Tom Hiddleston, Chuck's wife. She read the script and she said, "No, I want to be that lady."
Oh my God.
And it's a great choice. I understand completely. And she plays the hell out of it. I love that moment in the first time we meet her when the one kid starts trying to sneak out of the dance class. And she goes, "Back, Mr. Mulford, you are mine now." It's like just perfect in the way the camera like pushes in on her as she says it, in this dramatic, like almost playing into the Sam Sloyan like typecasting of scary lady stuff that we see a lot. I love that. I loved that so much. And yeah, then she's this kind voice to him to push and encourage him. And again, to get probably maybe too personal, like I have these moments, these clear moments I remember in my childhood where I was like very nervous to do a thing. And if I do have a regret in life, it's that like I didn't do that thing. Like my prom, I did not have a date. I went with a group of friends. There was this one girl that I knew very well. We were very close friends. The man she was dating was a little bit older than her, and he was in the army, and so he missed her prom because he was stationed elsewhere. This was 2003, Matt. Wonder what was going on with the army in 2003.
Oh man.
And I just have this really distinct memory of her sitting at a table very sad because her boyfriend wasn't there to dance with her, and I like almost worked up the courage to get up and ask her to dance. Not for any romantic reason, just like to be kind to a friend that I saw was like in pain. And I didn't do it because I got in my head about it. I got too nervous about it. And so like I relate very much to the nervousness that Chuck is feeling here. And the thing that I love about movies is we get to see him make the correct choice, unlike I did. And that's part of what excites you so much about this scene and energizes you going into it, because you're like, yes, you're gonna do it, Chuck. Like the "Give Me Some Lovin'" comes on, and you're like, fuck yeah, go kid, go do it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as a way of taking the story and then building the dramatic engine. Like we talked a bit last time about like what did Mike Flanagan see when he picked up this story and was inspired by it and thought like this needs to be a movie. And I wonder if I wonder if he sees these things like immediately, because he's trained his brain to like adapt things, or if maybe he brainstorms it later. But like that struck me as a thing where it's like, the potential for a powerful dramatic engine of the kid is understandably nervous and has every reason to back out, and in fact no one would even really blame him because he's much younger and much smaller, and and it's scary and they're all going to laugh at you, like you said. But he does it right. It's funny what you said about like having regrets of not asking a girl to dance and so forth. Like I think it's very hard to go through life without accumulating a few of those sorts of regrets, and then you got to have a few though, because then you realize, oh, I'm going to flagellate myself about this until I die. And shit, I wish I had just asked her, because whatever embarrassment I would have felt would be nothing compared to the pain I'm going to inflict on myself for the next decades over not having done it. So
yeah. And again, this wasn't even like a missed romantic thing.
Yeah.
This was was just a good friend, but it was the thing I should have done. Yeah. Which is why I again relate to Chuck a lot here, because this thing he has with Kat is very specifically not romantic in any way.
Right.
That is not what it is about at all. Yeah, I love it. I love the dance. So the dance has to like almost definitionally be less precise than the adult version, right? Because they're kids. Like they're good dancers for kids, but like even good dancers for kids are not going to like nail each move the way an adult dancer would.
Yeah.
So like it has to be a little looser, it has to be a little clumsier, but it also has to still look good and look fun. And I think it completely accomplishes that. They're having a great time. They're having so much fun. And it's just joy. It's just an absolute joy.
Yeah.
Did you notice the theme of the dance, by the way?
No.
It's Back to the Future. It's the theme of the dance. If you go back and watch, there's like a DeLorean cardboard cutout hanging from the top of the stage. The DJ, who's played by Elon Gale, who is a long friend and producing partner of Mike Flanagan's, he's the DJ dressed as Doc Brown. It's really hilarious because like it's a themed dance, but only like 6 people are dressed up. So like Kat, his dancing partner, is sort of dressed up like the Leia Thompson character, sort of wearing the same dress she wears to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. And her boyfriend, the one that gets all like has the sour look on his face after he watched another kid dance with his girlfriend, he's wearing the vest, like from the Marty McFly vest, but then like nobody else is dressed up. It's really funny. I think the exception to that is Marty Chiwetel Ejiofor, who I believe is like dressed like one of the Enchantment of the Sea band players. This is your when he sings Johnny Be Good.
Yeah.
This is your brother Marvin Berry.
Is that why his name is Marvin?
What?
Never mind. I also just, I mean, we talked about Benjamin Pajak. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
I love the way he dances as like a kid. It's like this like crisp, expressive, joyful, like joie de vivre pouring out of him, and the like not just precision and skill, but like style and panache. And it's like, how does someone so young have so much charisma, and also the fact that so many of the little details of the movements line up so well with Tom Hiddleston's choices in the way he moves. And I almost wonder, did they watch each other's dancing and kind of compare notes on like, you've got to really emphasize the this thing and whatever.
Oh, 100%. And I know like they do, like every time Chuck offers to dance with someone, he'll like hold his hand out and then like do the brush his hair thing aside, which is exactly what his grandmother did. And so he took that, and then we see Chuck do that in both the young version of Chuck and the older version of Chuck. Apparently, when Chuck gets the headache in the middle of the dance and takes his glasses off, Tom Hiddleston, the younger actor saw that, and then so the reason he like takes his glasses off and puts them in his jacket when he's standing outside right before he goes back in the dance is because he saw the older version of himself do that, and he said, I think Chuck should do that here too. So yeah, they definitely were watching each other's performances and basing each other's movements off each other for sure.
Really cool.
They're both so good at the moonwalk, man. It's crazy how good that moonwalk looks. It's so good.
Yeah,
I love it. I think the movie expects a lot out of him. It puts a lot on this kid, and I think he nails it. He's so good in every moment of this. Like, I really like the movie like flirts with horror for just a brief second when he grabs his grandfather's keys and sneaks up into the cupola, and it like really gets this moment of horror. And this is like, I know this wasn't a Femignari shot movie, but like the darkness of the scene where the cupola door opens and like everything's bathed and drowned in darkness, and gosh, Mark Hamill kind of throws Chuck down the stairs to
Yeah.
get away from
yeah. No, that was an interesting addition, right? Because we talked about how the short story kind of doesn't have a plot. It's just not. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
But you know, it kind of tells us, hey, maybe it's a ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of is a ghost story.
Sort of is, yeah.
But it dramatizes it as a ghost story a bit more than the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it gets that little scary bit, and I love that we like Mark Hamill is scary there. Like when he like the way he yells and he calms himself down and then apologizes.
Yeah.
And he sees his own death. And we see him grab his arm. The actual death scene, another example of great Mark Hamill acting. You know, he grabs his arm because he's having the heart attack, and then you see him almost have the realization of, oh, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets this resigned look on his face of, it's here now. It's finally here. I think that's just great acting. Great acting.
I love that moment too, because I think, especially having seen the story, we know that's what he saw.
Yeah.
I forget. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of. I love when he's talking about A Christmas Carol. I don't remember the exact line. He says something like, "People say it's a ghost story, but I don't think it's a ghost story," or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting because it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of not a ghost story. It's kind of, it's pretending it's going to be a ghost story, and then it's something else entirely.
Yeah,
which is kind of what Life of Chuck is.
Yeah, I agree with that. The ghost is rejected by Chuck at the end of it.
I mean, just like it's not like Marley is here to haunt and condemn Scrooge. It's, he's here to save him. And in fact, he's probably just a dream. It's really about redemption. It's not about ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Jacob Tremblay is back again to play the not adult version, but 17-year-old version of Chuck. It's great to see him. He comes in very briefly, has a very small role in it, but he gets the final line of the piece, which is a line I love. I really love it. We've talked about it a few times, but
I will live my life till my life runs
I am
out.
here. I am wonderful. I deserve to be
I
wonderful.
am wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too.
I deserve
I'm not
to be
crying. My
wonderful.
voice is just going out.
Yeah.
I promise.
And I contain
Yes.
multitudes.
I mean, yeah. It's great. Great stuff. Love it.
The one thing I wanted to talk about briefly. So this movie is dedicated to Scott Wampler, who we sort of knew. Like, it always feels weird to say this because we got to talk to Scott like exactly 2 times. So like I would never call myself a friend of his. We got to interview him. We had him on Kingslingers way back early in the day to talk about his journey with the Dark Tower. And I really loved talking with him then. We got to briefly talk to him again a little bit later when I think KingCast was like planning a big event at the Stanley, and they wanted to see if we could come. And so we got to talk him on the phone briefly back then. That didn't end up happening, but oh man, I remember being really excited about that. But Scott was a guy that, like, before I even started podcasting, I was like obsessively reading his writing. Like Birth, Movies, Death, that was like one of my daily visits of film content and reading the writers there, including Scott. And so like his death really affected me despite not really like knowing him personally. And I know he's really good friends with Mike Flanagan. And so, I mean, dedicating this movie to him, which is a movie about, sudden like death and death too soon and the way we must live our lives, fully kind of ignoring the fact that it could end at any moment. I found particularly powerful and moving, knowing as little bit of Scott as I did. I thought he was a great guy, really fantastic podcaster. Loved listening to him, loved listening to his writing, or reading his writing rather. And he's in the movie. I don't think you noticed, but both Scott Wampler and Eric Vespi are briefly behind Chuck. If you guys want to go back and look at the movie, if you missed it, when Chuck is sitting at the bench in front of the fountain in Act 2, They're hanging out on the side of the fountain behind him. You'll see Scott Wampler because he's got a big mohawk and some sunglasses on. And it's great that they got to be in the movie, and it's great. I think it's wonderful that this movie was dedicated to him. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that because we did sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel so weird about saying I knew someone.
I always think fondly of our conversation. I can say that.
That was, still semi early in our podcasting career, and that was me, like, at the time seemed like impossible courage to just cold DM someone and say, hey man, I've been reading your writing for years. I know you're a big King fan. We're doing this podcast. Do you want to come on? Not ever expecting a response. And he did, and he was awesome. He was very gracious with his time. And,
He was awesome. I thought it was, I've always thought that was a great conversation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Me too. So yeah, it's terrible that he died so suddenly. I think it's great that this movie is dedicated to his memory.
Yeah, me too.
And there will always be an added level of emotionality towards this movie because of that fact for me. So
for sure.
Okay. That's the life of Chuck. Anything else you wanted to say? I think we hit a lot of stuff. It feels like there's more, but
I think I worked in all my notes actually. Okay. We've been building up toward this for a long time, so
yeah. I just to say it, like I know you didn't notice this, but the aspect ratio of this movie changes in each act. The act 3 is in 2:3:9, which is very widescreen, so it's very, very, very wide. It's very cinematic. In act 2, it's 2:1, so it's less wide, still pretty wide, but less wide. And I still think they're using anamorphic lenses in both of those. And then in the act 1, the final act, it's in 1.8:5, so it's the least widescreen. It's interesting because I noticed this, but then I was listening to the director's commentary, which everyone should go listen to. It's great. And what Mike says is this actually has 2 different effects on you based on where you're seeing it. So if you see it in a movie theater, then the act 3 in 2:3:9 is just going to fill up the entire screen. And then as the movie goes on, as you move to 2 and 1.8:5, because it's a widescreen movie theater, the frame will narrow a little bit as you go, just naturally, which is like, Mike even says it, it's like, it represents the narrowing of one's life. The thing is, if you're watching it at home, like you and I did for this podcast, kind of the opposite happens. So if you're in 2:3:9 watching on your TV, your ratio, it will be letterboxed. There will be black bars at the top and bottom of the frame. When you move to 2, there will still be black bars, but there will be less black bars. And when you're at 1.8:5, it will fill your entire TV screen. There will be no more letterboxing. So in that regard, it shows the expansion, the growth over time. Now it's reversed, so technically it is still a narrowing, but you know what I mean? Like the movie fits more of the frame as you go. And that's so funny because like that's true. And I noticed the ratio changes and I was just like, oh, that's a fun way to distinguish between the different segments, but I didn't think about the metaphorical result of that. And I just, the second I heard it, I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That is The Life of Chuck. A great movie, one of my favorite movies of, we're putting together, I'm currently, Matt, working desperately on my top 25 in the 21st, because my plan, once we finish our series over on the Doofcast, is to offer up my list. I don't know if you want to do something similar, but I was working on that today and I was like, I feel like Life of Chuck's going to go on this list.
Scott, I did that over 25 weeks ago. That was the whole point.
Oh, I guess I should have done that too. I'm curious what your top 25. We'll share them over there when we finish that. But I hadn't done it yet, Matt.
Okay. And in full seriousness, some of the picks that I put on my list are nonsense and do not belong there. So
well, maybe you should do some work then.
All right, fine.
And part of your work should be to watch fucking Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Did that movie come out in the 21st century?
It did not.
Then I don't give a shit about it.
Oh my gosh, that's The Life of Chuck, Matt. That's it. We're caught up. Mike,
caught up.
You got to release some new stuff.
Yeah.
This is it. We're current. What do we do now?
I don't know.
What we're gonna do now is read Carrie again. That's what we're gonna do.
That's
now.
right.
But before that, we're gonna do some discussion questions.
Let's do that first.
Yeah.
So
All right.
the discussion question from last week was, what's the best found footage movie? And from Busy Dad 82, no found footage horror movie is complete without the one that's credited for starting it all. 1980s Cannibal Holocaust. An anthropologist searching for a lost film crew in the Amazon stumbles across a film reel depicting the events that led to the crew's demise. Part of the Italian exploitation film movement, the gore and violence were so convincing that director Ruggero Deodato was arrested for the murder of the actors. Compounding the issue, the actors involved hadn't been seen since the movie came out. Deodato was forced to prove his innocence by producing the actors in court, alive and well. It turns out that each actor signed a contract to stay out of the public eye for a year after the movie's release to keep the film as believable as possible. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's dedication.
Mm-hmm.
This is like prestige level dedication.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we talked last time about like Blair Witch kind of being the text for this stuff, and it wasn't really entirely. Blair Witch, I think, mainstreamed this idea in a way that Cannibal Holocaust was never mainstream. It was too horribly fucked up, which, you know, by the way, like, I mean this in the nicest way. You're not ready for that movie, Matt. I've watched it and I'm not ready for that movie.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No, I take no offense and in fact appreciate this.
Mr. Munchin 19 says, I don't know how big of a fan I truly am of found footage, but I can't say I don't hate it. Wait, I can say I don't. Is that double? Okay, I can say I don't hate it. So that being said, I'd have to say that my favorite was the show called Lost Tapes. I can't remember what channel it was on, but every week there was a new found video featuring a cryptid, Chupacabra, the OG, not the Texas hairless dog bullshit, Sheep Squatch, Black-Eyed Kids, the Beast of Bray Road, and my favorite, the Fresno Night Crawlers. I mean, what's not to love about an armless pair of pants strolling through your backyard while you're sleeping? I won't say I believe in cryptozoology, but like Mulder, I want to believe. The idea that the world is full of just as many unknown unknowns as it is things we know is just too good to not at the very least keep an open mind. That's fun. I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, me neither. Anything where you are able to invoke Mulder must be good, though.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
All right, Terranome says, been on a found footage kick for a while now, so this is greatly timed episode. Great as always, and I'm glad there was a positive reception for Matt's first VHS film. It's an earlier one, but I don't think there's much that'll surpass Wreck for me. It's a Spanish found footage movie about a reporter tagging along with a local emergency response unit who gets called to an apartment building where tenants seem to be suffering from some strange contagion. It follows the rules with just a single handheld camera perspective and is just a wild ride up to the end. It was remade as Quarantine in the States, but I definitely recommend the original if you're okay reading some subtitles. Though I will absolutely 1000% second Scott's One Cut of the Dead recommendation because that movie is amazing. Avoid all spoilers and just go watch it.
Love it. Yeah, we're going to do a One Cut of the Dead episode at some point, Matt. That's going to happen.
When did Wreck come out?
I don't remember. I definitely saw Quarantine before I saw Wreck, and I didn't realize that Quarantine was just a remake of it. And then I said, oh, well, why don't I go watch the original? And I liked it better.
Looks like Wreck came out in 2007. I was the reason I'm asking this is I have a very vivid memory of watching literally just watching the trailer in a movie theater, and it was for one of these two. It's hard for me to tell which because it was
probably Quarantine.
It's probably Quarantine, but I remember it. Just the trailer was like terrifying. Sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that movie a lot. Boy, oh boy, do I have... Oh, sorry, it's OK Row 2424. Boy, oh boy, do I have so many different answers for this week's discussion question. I've loved watching found footage horror series on YouTube, which has so many different series. However, I really want to talk about The Oldest View. The Oldest View is a series on YouTube which was created by Kane Parsons. Hey, we know him. He also made the Backroom series on his channel, as well as the recent movie for it. The Oldest View is unrelated to any of his other projects, and I feel it is overlooked by a lot of his fans. Without giving anything away about it, it's about a college student who discovers an entire mall that is buried at least a mile underground. I really hope this gets more people to check it out, and we'll definitely check out other recommendations from the discussion. Kind of sounds like mall backrooms.
It does sound like mall backrooms. I'm actually glad you mentioned this because I thought that it was just one episode. I've seen the first episode. I didn't know it was a series.
Oh, you've seen The Oldest View?
I've seen the Oldest View episode 1, I guess. I mean, if it's a series, I definitely want to follow up on it. I thought it was good for the same reasons that The Backrooms was a good YouTube video, although if I recall correctly, The Oldest View doesn't end with a sort of, chase scene the way the Backrooms video does. So maybe that's because it's building towards something else. I really want to check it out. Thanks for letting me know.
It looks like it's 6 episodes
based
cool. on this YouTube channel I'm looking at.
I got something to watch now.
Have you gone to see Backrooms yet?
Nope.
This is upsetting to me.
I know.
You know that, right?
I do.
You were the one that told me about this thing, and I went and saw the movie for you.
I know. Movie theaters are so far away.
They're not, though.
They're far away in time and space. All right. The Man in Black 19 says, I love found footage movies. The Blair Witch Project hooked me immediately. I was in college when it came out, and it was the perfect timing. But Cloverfield is my number 1 all-time favorite FF movie. The spin-off with John Goodman adds the chef's kiss.
But that is not a found footage movie. But I agree.
Yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane rules.
John Goodman rules.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that the high school in Life of Chuck was named John Goodman High School?
I did not.
Did you know why the high school in this movie was named John Goodman High School?
No.
Because someone that worked on this movie was on a plane with John Goodman and were telling them about the movie they were working on, and John Goodman said, "Oh, I would have liked to be a part of that." And so they said, "You are now."
That's great. I love that. Man in Black goes on to say, I'd like to nominate the book Dracula by Bram Stoker as the foundation of the found footage genre. I double checked with AI, and we all know AI would never lie to us, and I'm not the only one who thinks this way. I gotta admit, it's been 30 years since I read Dracula, but it always stuck with me as something different. Okay.
I love the idea of epistolary novels being found footage. That's fascinating to me. It's technically true. It's not found footage, but found journals.
We kind of talked, didn't we kind of talk about the idea of like, we just read Frankenstein, and like part of the enjoyment is the suspending the disbelief that maybe this was like a real, record someone wrote down, for the same reason that it's part of the fun of a found footage movie is like, maybe it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is just a VHS they found, even though, it's not.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that. I think that's fun.
Rapidly going through the rest of the answers. Steve Living Room CO says Blair Witch Project. Huge, controversial, original. Aqua Lungfish says Grave Encounters for atmosphere and impossible spaces, and then provides an extensive list, including several others. Baby King You Dig Your Sam says not a fan due to motion sickness, but enjoyed Blair Witch and Cloverfield. Sandy Bones says Shyamalan's The Visit as a wholesome tale of kids visiting grandparents. Yeah, God, that's a great movie, but I found it very uncomfortable. Like it was intended to be, but yeah.
That was the start of the M. Night Shyamalan comeback tour. That
Yes.
has continued all the way through the wonderful film Trap.
Yes.
That we both loved so much.
We did. Doc Holiday says Blair Witch for blowing them away in high school. Willow Chef for The Curse of the Blair Witch, a TV pseudo documentary, as scarier than the actual movie. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Remove Beneficial 1335 says Lake Mungo, if that counts as found footage. That sounds familiar. I don't know what that is though. Is that about a crocodile?
No, you're thinking of Lake Placid.
I am thinking of Lake Placid.
I think you could call it that.
Cool. The real J Meister says Ghost Facers episode of Supernatural. Cool. And Don Zest says Dracula. Yes. As we discussed.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I it's so funny. I never thought epistolary, but I think that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Hardcore Henry? Which is like, it's not technically found footage, but it's like, it's meant to look like a first person shooter where you only see from the perspective of the main character.
I don't think I watched it, but I'm aware. I've seen the trailers and such.
I did not like it. I wish I liked it more than I did. I just found it like, there's part of me that's like, shouldn't I just be watching an action movie?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be better?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish I could tell what the hell was happening.
Yeah. Cool. Those are great answers. I love found footage. One thing folks should check out is the Creep Tapes, which is a found footage anthology series on Shudder. There are 2 seasons of it, and the 3rd season is going to be starting, I think, just next month with Kate Siegel as one of the characters in one of the episodes. Creep and Creep 2 are both 2 found footage movies starring Mike Duplass and from the Duplass brothers. I find them ridiculously scary and uncomfortable. And so I didn't know the Creep Tapes was a thing until we talked to Kate Siegel a couple months ago, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to be on this thing this fall. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. And I went out and watched one of the seasons of it. It's very fun. Good found footage stuff.
Cool.
All right. What's our question for next time?
Next week, the question is, what's your favorite musical/dance sequence?
Yeah, we got to do this, guys. We got to do it. And Matt, I expect you to answer the question as well.
For sure.
You have seen Singing in the Rain.
I am familiar with that film or musical.
We're gonna fix you. We're gonna do it. It's gonna take my entire life, but we're gonna fix you.
That's why God made the world, Scott.
Just that.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be fun though. I look for a lot of my childhood was like Chuck's childhood of pushing in VHS tapes of all these different musicals. My wife is the same way. We both really love a good movie musical. So it's a big part of my life. So I look forward to seeing what you guys like so much.
Delightful.
Cool. All right. That is going to do it for us this week. As we said, next week, our time with Stephen King's Carrie officially begins. We are reading roughly 100 pages of the novel Carrie next week. We're going to be talking about it. For a reminder, the final sentence is, but the rock would not hide them. The dead tree gave no shelter. This is for the listeners and for you, Matt.
All right.
And for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Remember, you can reach us via email at flanaganswakepod@gmail.com or over on X at flanaganswake19. Also, don't forget that every episode can be found on video on YouTube and Spotify. And if you're watching over there, please leave us a comment and let us know what you think.
Also, please head on over to doofmedia.myshopify.com for a bunch of merchandise for Flanagan's Wake, for Kingslingers, for just Doof Media stuff. We have one of my favorite mugs. One of my favorite designs that Jody has ever come up with is the Propagating the Time Wave, which I don't even remember what you said that in response to anymore. But it's one of the funniest things you ever said. And I get to see it in this mug.
I believe it was 11/22/63, and we were trying to sort out the time travel dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
And my reference for what the complicated nonsense time travel method used in that story was that, hey, it's the propagation of the time wave.
Oh, yeah. That explains away everything, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, you can get that mug and many more over at doofmedia.myshopify.com.
That's right. And if you'd like any of our shows and you want to support us, then please consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia. It helps us out, and there's a ton of cool content and bonus content over there. I'm writing a novel. I'm probably 2/3, maybe 3/4 through it at this point.
Are we breaking news here?
I mean, kind of. Probably more like, yeah, maybe 3/4. I mentioned that just to say it's got a choose your own adventure element. So if you want to influence the way the story concludes, then you got to catch up with it, and then you can vote.
Absolutely. I'm loving reading it. I'm reading it along with you guys. I don't get any kind of insider information whatsoever. Right. Matt doesn't tell me shit.
I do not. And Scott has been watching The Sopranos and talking about it on the Patreon. So if you like The Sopranos, which apparently 100% of our patrons do, then go check that out.
I have to say, this is a little bit inside baseball. I am very suspicious about the engagement metrics we're getting on that particular podcast because it just doesn't. I don't think it's accurate. What
doesn't
they're saying.
compute. Okay,
it's too much.
Huh.
It's too much.
Oh.
Like, there's no way 5,000 people listened to that episode of The Sopranos that came out today. There's just no way. And yet, that's what it's saying. So,
fascinating.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. I think by the time you're listening to this, I will be just about on the season finale of season 1 of that television show. And man, let me tell you something that you probably already know. The Sopranos. Pretty good show. Pretty good show.
Very good.
No. Pretty good.
Cool.
If you cannot or do not want to support us on Patreon, we absolutely understand that. Please help us out by sharing the podcast. We are entering the Carrie zone, where we're going to be basically talking about Carrie White for the next 3-4 months. So we're entering that time, and that will be a great time for people to jump on because, like we said, we are officially 100% caught up with the works of Mike Flanagan now. And so from here on out, we're just going at his speed. So we're excited, and we can't wait to talk about Carrie. So join us, share the podcast. Please leave us rating and reviews because that does help people find us. So we can get more people listening to this podcast than listen to my stupid, silly Sopranos podcast. Although there's no way that's true. Definitely more people listen to this podcast than that. Like,
yeah.
I'm very suspicious of you, Patreon. We're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, I don't trust their numbers. Their numbers
No.
are not even.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Cool.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week for Carrie. Until then, Mr. Flanagan, you are wonderful. You deserve to be wonderful. And you contain multitudes. We'll see you next week.
That's great.
Should we do what the movie does and just like hold on silence for 5 minutes as the credits roll?
We should just walk away from our computers and just have
that would be the way to do it.
Empty chair.
And then we could say dedicated to Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, that would be good. Dedicated.
Stop the recording now.
Dedicated to the memory of Mike Flanagan.
Just come full circle on it.